All right, so I made a 3-round granny square. I fastened it off, but I'm going to leave that little tail there. I'll show you why in a minute. Now, I've made another granny square in another contrasting color, and we're going to connect these. And I've started on round 3. I only have one side done, and I'm going to connect it to this square. You know what? Let's spin it this way. And I'm doing this in a way that when I fasten off, these edges are going to be on, these tailed yarn are going to be on the outside. You'll see why in a minute. We're going to work it into our big piece when we put it all together. All right, so I'm getting ready to make the corner of this granny square. I have the first 3 double crochet cluster done. I'm getting ready to chain 3 to turn the corner. Now, when I start that chain 3, I'm going to slip stitch it into the corresponding chain 3 on this granny square. And let's do that. All right, so I'm going to chain 1, because remember there's 3 chain that's going there. And then I'm going to slip stitch into here. I'm just going to put the hook through the corresponding loop, yarn over, pull it through that loop and the loop on the other granny. Connected. All right, and you're just going to chain 1. All right, now we're just going to finish this side here. We're not going to do any more connections to that until we get to the other corner. All right, so it's going to be a little weird kind of working around the corner here. After I thought about it, I figured this was going to be the best way to accomplish this. Maybe it's a little bit more complicated than it needs to be right now at this stage, but it gives you a project to work on. It's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of knowing where to do your little slip stitches, and it's not hard. Let's see. Just gonna work our way down to this corner. All right, I'm starting the corner with my first 3 double crochet cluster. All right, so same thing. We've made it all the way down to the end. I'm going to chain 1, slip stitch in this corresponding corner on that granny square. Chain 1, so there's our chain 3. We did a chain 1, a slip stitch, and a chain 1, which equals our corner turn. So there we go, and I'm going to finish working around this granny square. So I have to do the second double crochet cluster in that corner. This black is microfiber, so it's fraying and catching up on every little loose end. See how that looks? Get that up there, sorry. All right, I'm gonna finish that and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I am joining my 3rd granny square, and same thing, I worked around to where when I finish off, that tail yarn is going to be on the outside of this entire thing. So that worked out to be the 3rd side of the granny square. And look at this beautiful variegated yarn. Quick suggestion about variegated yarn. Because it's so busy when you work it up, I always like to use a variegated yarn with a very simple pattern. Otherwise, if you're doing a beautiful stitch, it's gonna get lost in the middle of all this variegation. I always like to use a solid color if I'm doing something strictly for just a beautiful stitch. So that's just a little suggestion, but we're gonna join this the same way that we did before, and we're going to slip stitch. Let's see which one I won't do. We're gonna slip stitch into the gray. Oh, I didn't chain. So I got to chain 1, slip stitch through that gray granny square. You just pull a loop up through there, and there you go, and then chain 1. All right, see how that worked? And I'm just going to continue around, and I'm going to slip stitch into the last 3-chain corner. I think I'm running out of yarn over here. No! It's so pretty. All right, let's see. Alright, so I made it to the next corner. I'm going to slip stitch into that corner. Easy peasy. Alright, so now all I have to do is just finish that side, and then we'll move on to the last granny square. Okay, so now I'm on round 3 of my 4th granny square. And now we're going to have to connect it to 2 sides. So same thing, it's just a little extra. So you're going to chain 1, slip stitch into that corresponding 3-chain loop on the corner of this other granny, and then chain 1. And then we're going to proceed with our 3 double crochet cluster in that corner. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to see, I've never done it, so I'm going to experiment. I'm going to make a PDF of this pattern so that I'm going to attach the pattern to the bottom if I can. We'll figure it out. I'm just continuing on across this last granny square. Everything's falling down. Alright, so I'm on the inner corner here. Okay, chain 1. And then, let's see. Let's work into the, slip stitch into that one right there. And then chain 1. See how easy that was? Now I'm just going to finish here and connect in this last, got strings everywhere, in that last corner. This is so big, I might put an extra round on that base that we started, the red base. I think I'm going to have to. That's no biggie. That's the great thing about granny squares. If you decide you want it a little bigger, and you've already fastened it off, just slap another round on there. You can even switch colors or whatever you want to do. They're versatile. Alright, here's our last joining. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to slip stitch through that corner. And then chain 1, turn it. And I'm just going to finish that across there. Man, I'm happy with this. This is pretty. Like I said, we're just winging this together. Writing patterns. You can make up whatever patterns you want with these granny squares. Now, when you put small squares or circles together like this, this is called working in motif. Anytime you're connecting tiny little things like this, that is motif work. And you can get really, really fancy with motif. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to finish this off right here. Okay, so it's all joined up. I'm going to put that to the side, and then I'm going to get this back out and I'm going to add another round. That's all I'm going to do.